I had to kind of name the irony of different parents being involved in this. I mean, she certainly would be one of the people at the top of the list.
And that irony is on full display in this TV show she did.
When your friends tell you to lie on your resume, you 100% do not do it.
But lie about your ACT scores? Guess that might be a gray area. So, Rick arranges for Jane's 17-year-old son to travel to Houston to one of Rick's rigged test sites. But there's a minor scheduling problem.
It just depends on whether he gets surgery or not.
I know.
He can't fly for 2 weeks after that.
Jane's son gets tonsillitis, and he's not really supposed to travel, and they would have to get on a flight in order for him to cheat. So Jane asks Rick something that we don't think he's ever heard before.
So my question is, there's no way for him to not go and it still to be done, I assume?
It's incredible to listen to Jane Buckingham ask Rick, does my kid even have to show up at all?
Can you give me a test for him to take at home, that we proctor him, that I proctor him?
We could do something like that.
Can't we just give him a fake exam over the weekend at home, and you'll have your guy take the test?
If you think it's doable.
Yeah.
Of course, Rick, being the con man that he is, says, yeah, you know what, why not?
Rick's test ninja, Mark Rydell, flies to Houston, but not before Jane gives him a sample of her son's handwriting. Mark then takes the exam, forging the kid's signature and copying his handwriting on the essay section. All the while, Jane's son is completely unaware of what's going on. As soon as the test booklet's turned in, it's time to talk payment.
So your donation is going to be 50.
Will you send me where and how I should send the check?
Oh, yeah. We'll send it. Let's get your IRS tax write-off.
Oh, even better.
It appears tax deductions could also be a bonus offering from Rick Singer's clients. So, how exactly did that work?
Rick would have the parents pay his foundation. And he would say, look, you pay me the $75,000, pay me the $50,000, and I'm going to write you a letter saying that this went to a 501c3 charitable organization, and you can deduct that. $25 million moved through this system. From a federal income tax perspective, that's saving the parents 43% in tax from money that they've used for their own personal goods, right? So 40% of 25 million, right? That's 10 million. So we're talking about $10 million. What happens when they don't pay that money? You and I do. You're putting it on the back of the poor, you're putting it on the back of the middle class. That's what's happening here.
So often the rich genuinely believe, that they're just living on a different playing field. And if they want to bribe their way into school and get a write-off for it at the same time, that's what they'll do.
Finally, after months of gathering evidence, the feds have enough to make a move. And so when Rick takes his next business trip, they go for it.
He gets to the hotel, and he is greeted by about 4 federal agents.
They confront him and say, we know everything you've been doing. He got the opportunity to call his lawyer, and then they started having discussions with the prosecutors about possible cooperation agreements.
If Rick signs a cooperation agreement with the FBI, he'll have to spill the beans about all the people who have participated in his college admissions scam. Singer would have to say.
The FBI couldn't have gotten luckier in finding Rick, because as a con artist, your #1 priority is saving yourself.
So in a flash, Rick Singer goes from con artist to confidential informant.
I think he decided that if he was going to be a government witness, he was going to be the best one ever.
Reality is our country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen, neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary event special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown hate, the war among us. podcast.
This is a real wake-up call.
Streaming now on ABC News Live.
Now, when it matters most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. #1 in the morning. #1 in the evening with America's most watched newscast. #1 in late night versus the competition. #1 in politics and most watched on this historic election night versus the competition. The #1 daytime talk show and #1 in streaming news. Most trusted and most watched. ABC News is America's #1 news.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, mornings may look different these days, but where you start your day, where you spend your mornings, where you get connected to everything that's happening.
And face it, there's a whole lot happening in our world these days.
Where you get all the breaking new information of the day to help you navigate through these times. This is why we're here.
Good morning, sunshine.
And making sure you start your day off with a smile and some sunshine.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Oh, how I love saying that.
Wake me up.
The most powerful stories of our time and time. Nightline.
Friday nights, 9/8 Central. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True Crime 2020. Friday nights, 9/8 Central on ABC.
So, in September of 2018, college consultant Rick Singer is busted for his elaborate con. Now he's agreed to flip on his clients and become a government informant.
Initially, he's a reluctant witness, but when he gets on board in a really big way.
The FBI wants to catch Rick's criminal clients in the act. So they ask him to call them up and pretend like it's just business as usual.
So in working with the FBI, Rick's goal was to get all of his clients to incriminate themselves. And he has to do this as naturally as possible.
When Rick calls Felicity Huffman, she's worried that using his scheme to fake her daughter's SAT scores might raise too many red flags.
I just didn't know if it'd be odd for the tutor would go, oh, she did this in March 9th, but she did so much better in May. I don't know if that'd be like, if the tutor would be like, wow.
The tutor is just doing her job, so I don't think she gets well engaged in that kind of role.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about that.
I think for the average person, this would be a tough conversation. But to Rick, this came easily. I don't think these people even thought about jail time while they were doing this, because he made it seem like a walk in the park.
He may have made it sound easy, but Felicity still isn't sold.
She was really torn. It wasn't a clear, yes, I'm going to do it for her. Kind of lived through this drama of will she, won't she throughout fall of 2018 into early 2019 when they finally say, you know what, no, we're not going to do it.
But it's too little too late, because Felicity's already admitted that she cheated for her older daughter's SAT scores. And that's enough for the FBI to make a case. Gordon Kaplan isn't so torn. Without his daughter's knowledge, he decides to go through with the scheme, like Jane Buckingham had done. So Kaplan, Huffman, and Buckingham are slam dunks. But Rick still has hundreds of other clients, most of them past clients. The feds want them too.
You have this guy who is saying, you know, I've worked with all these parents, we've cheated on all these tests and with all these schools, but they really just have Rick's word.
The feds need more, which means Rick is going to need a ploy to get these former clients talking. And the FBI comes up with a brilliant idea.
They just started an audit on my foundation. Yeah, they've been asking about both past and present payments, so.
Rick starts calling the parents, telling them that the IRS is auditing his nonprofit.
That's right. The same phony nonprofit that Rick used to funnel the money from all his clients.
It's a good ruse because people are scared of the IRS and taxes, and it causes people to want to get their story straight.
Now, why that's so clever is that he starts re-explaining to them what they had done together.
So Rick calls Lori Loughlin to chat about her $500,000 donation. And just get her to implicate herself in a massive fraud.
The IRS audits large foundations, and we have so much money in our foundation, and we give away so much money. They want to, they're always worried about things going on in foundations.
I see.
They happen to call you, is that nothing has been said about the girls. Your donations, helping the girls get into USC to do, even though they didn't do